Speaking of Miami, let's get into another player who a lot of people were concerned about once Tua went out. That's DeVon Achane, and DeVon Achane's value has been up and down all over the place. After week 2, people were celebrating and said this is exactly why we drafted him. And then Tua went out, and things changed for DeVon Achane. But since then, we've seen Tua come back now, and so the value has been there again for DeVon Achane. And when this offense is moving, it looks like he's a vital component to the offense.
Hmm.
We did also see Raheem Mostert. Like, I know that one of the big things in week 1 after Raheem Mostert got hurt was like, oh, DeVon Achane, he got that goal line carry, so he's going to be used as the red zone back. And then last week in week 8, we saw Raheem Mostert get a goal line opportunity. So I think the biggest question mark is, how much involvement does Raheem Mostert have? Like, coming off the bye, we've seen him get a little bit more involved. Mike McDaniel over the offseason had talked about him being, the co-starter. We have 4 starters on this team, Jeff Wilson and obviously rookie Jalen Wright. So I think my biggest thing with DeVon Achane is how high is the ceiling, right? That was the reason you drafted him this year, because he could break fantasy, he could have 30 points per game. We've seen it with Tua so far in 3 games, but we didn't see it without him. Which one are you believing? Because it's a tale of 2 different DeVon Achanes at times right now.
I mean, definitely with Tua. This year with Tua in the lineup, he's averaging over 26 fantasy points per game. Without him in the lineup, 7 fantasy points. We go back to last year when he was healthy. Tua is healthy. He's averaging over 19 fantasy points per game with Tua. So as long as Tua is healthy, like DeVon Achane, I understand like Raheem Mostert could be a threat to vulture some touchdowns. But the biggest thing with DeVon Achane is receiving. Like the dude
Yes.
is a receiver when he's out there playing running back. And that is just so valuable in your full point PPR leagues. He's so explosive. In the beginning of the year, kind of had that ankle injury too, which I think was kind of holding him back a little bit. He looked really good, ripped off a 40-yard run last week. We know how good the player is. And obviously he's smaller. He's also at a little bit of a higher risk to get hurt, but just a guy that when he's on the field, Tua is on the field. This is an elite RB1 in fantasy football, full point PPR. So he's a guy that if I have him, I mean, man, it looks good. Please
So
stay healthy,
so
Tua.
the elite part, because I think that's the part that's the hardest thing to gauge right here, is how elite is the ceiling. And I think with DeVon Achane, the one thing that we know is like, I think the workload is dialed back more than what we saw. Like earlier in the year, there was a game against Buffalo where he had like, I
Yeah,
would say,
a ton
over
of
20
touches.
carries. I think that
With
was
like
kind of an
30
outlier.
touches. Yeah,
It's
yeah, for
30
sure.
touches, yeah. So I think that was kind of an outlier, and we're probably going to see more of like this 15 to 20 range, with a lot of it, like you mentioned, being in the receiving game. He's seeing like
Yeah.
6, 7 catches a game when Tua's at quarterback. So I think the biggest thing I have with DeVon Achane is I understand the ceiling based off of efficiency, right? I understand the
Mhm.
ceiling of he can average 5 to 6 yards per carry. He can, obviously he'll get 6 to 10 touches in the receiving game. Feels like damn near.
Yeah.
But where's the touchdowns? Like, is he going to have any of those 3 touchdown games? Does he truly have 200-yard potential total yards? Like, I think that's where we're hoping he can break fantasy. Because when I start to look at the other running backs, when we talk about like elite running backs, I'm not trading Devon Achane for Saquon, for Bijan Robinson, shit, for even Kyron Williams, Derrick
I
Henry,
don't know about
Joe
that.
Mixon, Alvin Kamara. I'm not trading Devon Achane for any of these guys.
I don't know. I mean, really, I think that so last week, I mean, he had 27 points. I mean, what running back okay, I would say the only running back, there's only one running back that truly probably a couple, but one definitely that I would want over him is right now Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry's breaking
Yeah,
fantasy
Derrick
kind
Henry's
of.
crazy.
But like the 3 games with Tua healthy this year, 23, 29, 27. Who's doing that? Who else is doing that? Brees Hall's not doing that. Bijan Robinson's not doing that.
Oh, he's not? The last 3 games he has.
Oh, the last 2 games. Wow.
Last
But
three, hey, Devon A. Channel only did it for 1 game. It has to
he's
be
done
with
it
Tua. The
3
only
games
caveat here is with Tua. That's why.
with Tua healthy. He's had at least 6 catches with Tua healthy
Yeah, with
in
Tua
every
healthy,
single one
they've
game.
also played fucking Jacksonville, Buffalo's giving up the
Buffalo,
one of the
Atlanta, they
most
get
point totals
Buffalo
to running
this
backs
week.
all season in
They get
Arizona.
Buffalo this week. They get the Rams next week. They get Las Vegas. They get New England. Like, this is a great schedule. So I think that it's kind of one of these things with you personally. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take a little shot here at
Go
you
ahead.
that you don't want to get off of this take personally with DeVon Achane. You did not like DeVon Achane heading into the season. This dude is an
See, this
elite
is not. There
high-end
ain't no way
RB1.
because I'm putting more respect on his name than I did even in the preseason. Right? This isn't a take at all
This is a
because the
top
only
3
concern with
guy.
him is injury. That's it.
Okay, that should be it. That when he's on the field and Tua's on the field, this is like Christian McCaffrey numbers. The 27, 29, 23.
We're going off a
That's
3-game sample
CMC.
size. A
Okay,
3-game sample
okay.
size.
And last year when he was healthy, he was also breaking fantasy. This is now 2 years of when Tua and him are on the field. He's elite. This
He
is
broke
an
fantasy
elite
at the
guy.
beginning of the year. What did he do in the second half of that year?
He was still having 20-point games. This is
He's
what I
not
don't
25.
understand.
He wasn't top 5.
Oh,
running
I'm
back
sorry.
of
He
the
didn't have a
year.
50-point game. I'm sorry. But that's in the realm of possibilities with him, is that if he does get those touchdowns, it's going to be 50 points because the dude is just so dynamic. So personally, I think that he's right up there with C or not CMC. Well, I mean, CSC's coming back, but
Yeah.
potentially. But he's right up there with like AK. He's right up there with Brees Hall, Bijan. He's right up there with those guys. And
So you say
personally,
up there.
I would say there's probably one running back. I mean, it's only Derrick Henry, honestly.
So
That's the
Derrick
only guy
right
that I would
now,
rather have.
Achane would be like, if you were doing a midseason ranking for the rest of the year, you have DeVon Achane as your RB2.
RB2, RB3. I don't even know. Like, probably maybe Bree. I don't even think I'd rather have DeVon Achane over Brees Hall. I'd rather have him. I don't think it's wild. Like,
that's wild.
It's been
I think the floor is nice. I think the floor is going to be nice.
The floor
on
and
a
ceiling
basis
is massive
because the receiving. But I also think he's had some. You talked about the good matchups coming up, so maybe I didn't factor that in as much, like the good upcoming schedule. But he's had some plush matchups here over when the games that Tua played. He's had plus matchups. Like that's we could also say that that's part of it too. So I think when I look at like Kyron, I look at Saquon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Bijan.
Kyron. I forgot about.
What
Kyron.
about Saquon?
I'd rather have Kyron over him.
You'd rather have Achane than Saquon.
He's right there with Saquon. That's close. I view
Jahmyr
him as
Gibbs.
top 5.
Like, give me Jahmyr Gibbs.
No, I'd rather have DeVon Achane over Jahmyr Gibbs.
See, I think we're just off. He's right there, but it's like I got him maybe a tier below.
I'd say he's like
Mixon,
right top 5.
25 carry a game Mixon. I'm taking Mixon over Achane.
No, Achane. Give me Achane.
Oh, that's wild, bro. What about Kenneth Walker? You got Kenneth Walker or Achane?
Achane.
I think that's close. I think that's the territory I have. I have Achane
DeVon
and Walker.
Is literally a wide receiver playing running back. That's what he is.
He reminds me because you remember James White. James White used to do this a lot too, but he didn't have the same explosiveness that DeVon Achane has. But he would have the very nice floor of like 5 to 6 catches, and it would feel like, damn, you already have a built-in 10 points just off the receiving work.
In the 3 games with Tua, he hasn't had under 50 receiving yards. That's for a running back. That is stupid. We love AK, and I love AK, and we're always like, this dude is good for 5 catches. He's had 6 catches in every single game with Tua.
Goddamn.
That's stupid.
Well, I mean, you did mention that nobody has that. Like Alvin Kamara has that.
No, AK's right there with him, but the only difference is that just Achane's more explosive, so he can have those. I wouldn't be shocked if next game he has a 70-yard touchdown run.
And this is why I would take Kamara 100% over Achane's because he has the receiving work, but for the most part, he's also going to get more of the goal line work.
He's
also going to see way more volume.
Yeah, and that's I would say that's the thing, but the only thing I would say with Achane is I don't want him to have that Buffalo game. I don't want him to have the 29 touches. That's not how he's built to be in this. Exactly what he had last week, the 15 to 20-ish range. That's the perfect range where hopefully he doesn't get hurt. He stays hyper efficient, which he is, and the ceiling's massive. But I understand if you wanted Joe Mixon because he's going to see that guaranteed 25 touches. But like Achane's he's so explosive, and if those numbers stay there with Tua, this is legit RB1 upside. I don't think he will now, obviously. He can't get there, but rest of the way, potentially, if he stays healthy along with Tua.
You say can't get there. You never know. If he has one of the 50-point games, we might be talking about him up
there. It
there.
could change fast. Yeah.
Things have changed really quickly here in fantasy, and